Greetings LEGO fans and welcome to Retro LEGO, where we revisit and rank the sets in beloved LEGO themes from the past.
Today, we're jumping to light speed, right back into the galaxy far, far away with the second year of LEGO Star Wars. Ushering in a new millennium with a killer lineup of sets, the year 2000 brought a host of essential characters, settings, and iconic ships to the LEGO Star Wars universe. While this year also introduced the first 3 Technic sets in the theme, as well as the original 2 Ultimate Collector Series models, I consider those to be distinct sub-themes worthy of their own videos down the line. So today, my focus will be on the 10 standard system sets we got in this remarkable year. So, find a place to stow away, and let's continue this sprawling LEGO Star Wars adventure. Taking the bottom spot on my list is set number 7159, the Star Wars Pod Racing Bucket. This unique offering, originally retailing for $25, is something of an alternative to the brilliant and much more expensive Mos Espa Pod Race set from the previous year. Featuring 4 miniaturized pods, including a fairly passable version of Anakin's pod, along with a nice little structure for the starting line, I could easily see how this could feel pretty complete for kids in the year 2000. Add that to the nice big bucket it all came packaged in, and this product really does have a lot to offer, even if I wasn't quite the target market, even at 10 years old. On the minifigure front, Anakin Skywalker joins us just as he appeared before with his gray helmet and goggles, along with universal favorite Jar Jar Binks. But then we're given this monstrosity, a character who's supposed to be Aldar Beedo from the film, but ends up looking more like the subject of some grotesque body horror. This bizarre amalgamation is built out of a bent-over battle droid body with an arm for a head, a 1x2 tan slope brick, and finally a reused Hydronaut's head with a brown flight cap and goggles. I really want to hate this horrifying Frankenstein of a LEGO alien, but I actually think I kind of love it for its sheer audacity. Newer molds have been produced of this character, but the scrappy, almost childlike construction of the original ultimately wins me over. Overall, I think this set was a solid idea, but its very juniorized focus makes it so I can't really rank it any higher. Coming in at number 9 is set number 7124, the Flash Speeder. I hope my bias isn't showing too much here, but I'll admit that the Episode 1 sets never excited me quite as much as the original trilogy ones. That said, this is a slick-looking speeder, originally retailing for $10 and doing a pretty fair job of emulating the on-screen appearance of the standard vehicle for Naboo's security forces. It's actually rather reminiscent of Luke's land speeder from Episode 4, sharing the same windshield, similar side-by-side seating in the cockpit, and twin engines in the back. This one packs a lot more punch though, with a rotating blaster cannon on top. Just be careful to point it backwards before you try and open the trunk, or you might have some friendly fire on your hands. If you can manage to get it open without any casualties, it's a handy spot to drop some gear for long trips across Naboo. The minifigure piloting the Flash Speeder is a lone Naboo security officer, with his brown hat, vest, and gloves translating the on-screen uniforms into LEGO with style. It's a colorful, well-executed set that, despite its competence, doesn't really get me too excited, to be honest. Taking the number 8 spot is set number 7115, Gungan Patrol. Also hitting shelves at $10, this is one I remember picking up from Kmart as a kid, with my Christmas money. Oh boy, that one ages me. Though I kind of despised the Gungans in their Episode 1 portrayal, my brother and I reimagined them in our own stories as a much more serious, noble warrior race, much like the Protoss from StarCraft. So in a way, this set kind of redeemed the Gungans for me. Interestingly, the 2 orange creatures the Gungans are perched on, known in lore as the Kadus, were specifically made molds just for this set, which definitely inflates its aftermarket value. Other exclusive elements include the purple force field shield, printed on the standard long shield element from LEGO Castle, and one of the two included minifigures, who I can only assume is Ruse Tarpals, Jar Jar's commander and friend from the film. Using the same head mold as Jar Jar, his clothing reflects his much more stately position in the army. Speaking of Jar Jar, of course he shows up here as well, once again taking his place as the best character in the whole Star Wars saga. Okay, I'll really stop this time. The buggy pulled by one of the Kadus is brimming with boomas, the spherical energy weapons the Gungans deploy in their battle against the Trade Federation's droids. There are 6 included here, and though they aren't exactly spherical like in the film, these trans dark blue cylinder bricks do a fair job of approximating them. The buggy itself feels like it should be able to roll as it's pulled, but the turntable elements on the side are simply to offer the right angles for the yoke pieces to attach to the Kadu. I have some fond nostalgia for this one, but though it's definitely got some neat exclusives and features, there's not quite enough here to rank it any higher. Number 7 goes to set number 7134, the A-Wing Fighter. Hitting shelves at $15, this set is one that my brother had growing up, so naturally I swooshed it around quite a bit too. First appearing in Return of the Jedi, the A-Wing is one of the more sleek vehicles in the Rebel arsenal, and that translates surprisingly well when brought to the angular world of LEGO. With articulating guns on each side, a storage compartment in the back for supplies, and a front-opening cockpit that sometimes stays on, it's got plenty of bells and whistles to keep the kid in all of us happy. Included in the set are 2 minifigures, both of whom are set exclusive. The first is the pilot, who wears the green jumpsuit associated with A-Wing pilots and a helmet with a unique print. Is this the guy that crashed into and crippled the Super Star Destroyer? I choose to think so. Next, we have a Rebel engineer, who dons the same outfit and cap as the Rebel technician from the X-Wing set the previous year, but employs a different faceprint, this one being very common in town sets from the 90s. The A-Wing is a welcome addition to the Rebel fleet, and personally is a fondly remembered set from the year 2000. At number 6, we have set number 7155, the Trade Federation AAT. Originally retailing for $20, this intimidating, droid-operated hover tank is another fantastic fusion of screen accuracy and unabashed LEGO blockiness that I just love about this early LEGO Star Wars era. The elements and techniques used to bring this war machine to life are pretty ingenious, and I just love seeing the quarter saucer elements from UFO getting appropriate use here in set-exclusive printed form. The 2 engine elements introduced the year before make their debut in tan here, and also remain set exclusive to this day. The giant rotating gun on top is immensely satisfying to operate, giving me Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade vibes, while the pilot and gunner stations have just enough room for the 2 included battle droids, who happen to be the only 2 figures included in the set. Each supplied with a blaster mounted on the back of the vehicle, they're ready to take their invasion on foot if needed. The AAT is yet another triumph of early LEGO Star Wars design, and though it's one I never owned or handled as a kid, it still gives me that warm, fuzzy feeling. Breaking into the top 5 is set number 7104, the Desert Skiff. Selling for just $6 in the year 2000, this set is only the second to adapt a specific scene from Return of the Jedi, portraying the attempted execution of our heroes at the hands of Jabba the Hutt at the beginning of that film. It's only a small slice of the scene though, as Jabba's sail barge and the Sarlacc pit are conspicuously absent, but you still get plenty for the price. The vehicle itself may not be particularly eye-catching or remarkable, but it's certainly a faithful recreation, even allowing rotation of the sails in the back. Where the set really shines though is in its minifigures, as we get 2 exclusives here that are just fantastic. The first is Luke Skywalker in his black Jedi garb, with no gloved right hand quite yet, as the damage to his artificial hand occurs in this very scene. He's also armed with his handmade green lightsaber, my personal favorite of his in the films, and definitely my favorite in LEGO, as the trans-neon green blade really pops. Next, we have the first ever instance of my real favorite character in all of Star Wars, Han Solo. Seen here in an unusual state of vulnerability, without his vest, blaster, or eyesight for that matter, he still manages his signature smirk. The Desert Skiff is pretty much a perfect small set, with its screen-accurate vehicle and excellent minifigures completely winning me over. Coming in at number 4 is set number 7184, the Trade Federation MTT. Originally retailing for $50, this set is based on a vehicle that I honestly find pretty ugly and unremarkable. But the play features that this set provides do a lot to counteract that initial impression. At first glance, this droid carrier looks like a sad pile of brown, gray, and tan bricks, which it kind of is, but once you open it up, there's a world of fun possibilities here. My favorite feature is the deployable droid rack, which can be accessed from this set-exclusive brown dome door in the front. 6 battle droids can fit on the sliding rack, along with their blasters, but it gives the illusion that there are many more right behind them. Above the droids in storage is the pilot of this behemoth, and his station can be accessed via the giant hatches on either side. If that wasn't enough, the whole vehicle can split in two, with the back section hinging open to reveal a spacious interior with computer consoles and plenty of room for even more droids if you really want to spruce things up. A couple of hidden blasters on the sides, as well as a giant rear hatch for quick on-foot deployment, makes this thing a force to be reckoned with. Perhaps this set's biggest drawback besides aesthetics is its fragility. The many play features offered do greatly reduce its stability, but I think I'd still take that over a perfectly stable version that you couldn't play with and explore. Included in the set are 7 battle droids total, 6 on the racks and 1 in the pilot's seat. The MTT is both a lot of fun and hideously ugly, but the fun ultimately wins the day here. Number 3 on my list goes to set number 7180, the B-Wing at Rebel Control Center. Costing $30 in the year 2000, this set packed a 2-for-1 punch, not only giving you the ship, but a pretty substantial base build as well. The B-Wing fighter is perhaps the most eclectic fighter design in the whole Rebel fleet, with a gimbal-mounted cockpit and deployable wings that invite all sorts of configurations, none of which look particularly like a B to me though. Its front-hinging cockpit is much more stable than its A-Wing counterpart, and a sizable compartment in the back is perfect for storing tools and other gear, but not quite big enough to squeeze an astromech droid into. The control center is perhaps my favorite part of the set, featuring a set-exclusive display screen showing schematics of the second Death Star, futuristic sliding doors, and hinges that allow you to unfold the whole thing for easier access and play. It's just a delightful inclusion that really sets this entry apart. In addition to all of that, you're also given a small hover vehicle, similar to the Rebel transport seen in the X-Wing, but this time is used primarily for repairs and tool transport, with its articulating arm in the front ready to fix up the fleet's ships in preparation for battle. The set includes 3 minifigures, 2 of whom we've seen in previous sets: the Rebel Technician with the X-Wing and the red astromech droid with the Y-Wing. But our newcomer here is the B-Wing pilot, who, as I discovered while filming this video, doesn't have the right faceprint or helmet in my copy. It turns out that mine has the head and helmet from the A-Wing pilot, while he should have a set-exclusive helmet and the same faceprint but without the comm piece. Looks like I've got a Bricklink order in my near future. His red flight suit, however, is correct, and is a simple recolor of the orange suits we've seen before. This set has uniqueness written all over it, from the ship itself to the pleasant surprises on the ground, and earns a high spot in the year 2000's lineup. The The runner-up is set number 7144, Slave 1, or should we call it Boba Fett's starship. Originally retailing for $20, this set captures yet another eclectic ship design perfectly. It was always the underworld of bounty hunters and smugglers that fascinated me most about Star Wars, so naturally Boba Fett quickly became a favorite of mine, along with his elusive ship. Due to its differing orientations for landing and flying, it's a tricky set to display, but some clear elements can go a long way to making just about any pose possible. I love how the wings of the craft stay grounded no matter which way the ship faces, making the takeoff and landing cycles of Slave 1 a particular joy to reenact, not to mention its swoosh factor. Perched in its vertical cockpit is Boba Fett himself, the coolest bounty hunter in the galaxy. Talk about nailing it on the first try. This minifigure is simply magnificent, with his specially molded helmet and jetpack, along with his torso printing striking fear into the hearts of his prey. He's also pretty valuable, with this particular iteration only appearing in 3 sets and going for close to $40 in most markets. That's nothing compared to the original Cloud City version with printed arms and legs that goes for an absurd $1,200, but this original version still costs a pretty penny for a minifig. Also included is not exactly a minifigure, but a printed panel with Han Solo frozen in carbonite. I can't recall who in my family had this set, but we definitely had this piece, and seeing it again brought back a flood of memories from that time. This slab of freeze-dried Solo slots nicely into the ship's cargo hold and slides out easily for delivery to Jabba the Hutt. Slave 1 is a magnificent recreation of a fan-favorite ship, and it's one I intend to keep forever. Before I reveal the number 1 pick, there are quite a few honorable mentions from this year. Of course, there are the 3 Technic droids and the 2 UCS sets that I'll cover later, but there were also a handful of minifigure packs that were exclusive to the UK and the LEGO Internet shop. These included mostly familiar characters like battle droids, scout troopers, and some of the new figures from the sets of this year, but also some novel introductions like the Emperor, who would make his full-blown set debut in the following year, and an exclusive version of Luke with his full Jedi regalia, including a hood and cape. Though I don't usually include minifig packs as full-blown sets in my rankings, these were certainly notable enough to be mentioned here. And at number 1 is set number 7190, the original LEGO Millennium Falcon. Hitting shelves at $100 at the beginning of the new millennium, this set was perhaps the biggest white whale I never caught, until now. I didn't exactly come from a family where $100 was a realistic amount to spend on a toy, so I stared and stared at this thing in magazines and catalogs, hungry for any new images to drool over. I vividly remember reading about the dimensions of the set and sketching out how big it was on construction paper. I even tried to build my own using the quarter saucers we had from UFO, but it was all to no avail. The Falcon was simply out of reach. Now, I fully understand that by modern standards, this thing is probably considered pitiful, but I just can't get that initial impression out of my head. To me, it's an absolute beauty, and ain't nobody gonna convince me otherwise. The use of the quarter saucer and wing elements to achieve the iconic shape of the Falcon is ingenious, while specifically made pieces like the cockpit are welcome innovations to make this seemingly impossible task a reality. This original version remains the only one with a one-piece removable top for interior access, and it works shockingly well, clipping to a single Technic pin in the center and letting gravity do the rest. This is, without a doubt, the most spacious and detailed interior of any LEGO spaceship up to that point, featuring the famous hologram game, various smuggling compartments, an array of tools, a fully operational boarding ramp, and even a deployable escape pod, something never referred to in Star Wars canon, but rather a creative addition from the set designers, giving it a nice taste of the original LEGO space themes that came before. On the outside, the famed quadruple guns and radar dish are essential inclusions, both freely rotating on 2x2 turntables, while hatches on the sides and rear give you some limited access from the outside. The cockpit unfortunately can't quite fit two minifigures side by side, but the whole thing is removable via Technic pins, though I'm not sure if that was intended as a feature or just as a means of attaching to the main ship. To fill out this marvelous ship is a cast of 6 minifigs, centering this set on the story of A New Hope. We're familiar with the Tatooine version of Luke Skywalker and R2-D2, but the rest are new introductions. The first is R2-D2's droid companion, C-3PO. As far as the head mold and torso printing go, he's an A+ recreation. But the color is a bit baffling, as he ends up looking a bit more like a shiny apricot color than gold. This would be remedied in future editions, but this botched original coloring has a charm of its own. Next, we have Chewbacca, Han Solo's Wookiee sidekick and best friend. I pretty much have no notes here, as the special mold created for his head and torso overlay are spot on. And I actually think this looks more like the film than many of his newer, more detailed iterations do. The most valuable minifigure in this set and the whole year 2000 wave is Princess Leia, who is exclusive to this set and goes for about $55 these days. Future versions would improve her face detail a bit, but honestly, they kinda nailed it here too. Finally, my favorite character and probably my favorite single minifigure in the whole Star Wars theme is Han Solo. Showing up here in prime form with his vest and printed legs with his trusty blaster by his side, this scoundrel with a heart of gold is a masterpiece. Yellow heads on early licensed characters has always been my jam, and this is that aesthetic at its finest. I don't even know what else to say about this guy. I just love him, and finally having him in my collection after all these years is a dream come true. Guys, the original Millennium Falcon is so special to me, but I still think it's an objectively great set, not just for the time, but as a set you can truly play with and bring that galaxy far, far away just a little bit closer to home. But I'm sure you have your own opinions on the best sets from the sophomore year of LEGO Star Wars. Let me know yours in the comments. And if you want to further support the work I do on this channel, consider joining these awesome folks in the Brick Guild for as little as $1 a month. Thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you.